Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Cypher Alpha and today we are looking at a game called Dead Ground. Today we are exploring the wastelands of Dead Ground, a unique blend of tower defense and roguelike elements that promises intense survival gameplay. So let's dive in. Dead Ground reimagines the classic tower defense genre by introducing procedural generation. Each playthrough offers randomly generated guns, skills, and augments, ensuring no two games are the same. You'll need to scavenge for scrap and water, manage your inventory, and fortify your base to withstand the relentless assault of enemies. Now let's talk a little bit about gameplay mechanics. The gameplay is all about strategic tower placement and upgrades. But here's the twist: you also control a hero directly, adding an action-packed element to the strategy. With permadeath, every decision counts. One wrong move and you're back to square one, but with a unique setup each time. Boss fights and random events help keep the adrenaline pumping, ensuring that even with the permadeath mechanic, you're compelled to just one more go. Let's talk about the visuals and the soundtrack. Visually, Dead Ground opts for 2D pixel art style that resonates with the game's post-apocalyptic theme. The art direction complements the gloomy atmosphere, while the soundtrack elevates attention with its fast pace and intense beats. Now let's take a look at the community feedback on this game. With a mixed review rating of 53% positive from at least the 43 reviews that I was able to take a look at, opinions are varied. Some praise its blend of action and strategy, calling it a refreshing take on the genre, while others feel the balance between tower defense and direct control could use some tweaking. However, the game's replayability and experimental nature are generally well received. Now, if you think about jumping into Dead Ground, there are some tips. Resource management. Keep an eye on your scrap and water. You'll need them for upgrades and survival. Tower strategy. Don't just build, but upgrade wisely. Your tower's efficiency can make or break your defense. As you can see in this particular instance, we have 5 tower slots with the left to right lane of travel, and not enough water or scrap to actually load all of the towers. Place the initial towers near the entry point of the lane. Again, this is the initial scenario, but as things progress, I think tower placement becomes even more crucial. Hero utilization. Use your hero not just for combat, but also to support your towers. Your hero's abilities can turn the tide in critical moments. Adapt and overcome. With each run being unique, be ready to adapt your strategy on the fly. Dead Ground might not be for everyone, especially if you're not a fan of permadeath or the roguelike challenge. But for those looking for a fresh spin on tower defense with good dose of action, this game is definitely worth checking out, especially if you get it at a higher percent discount. I believe I got mine around 75 to 80% off, and at that price is definitely a solid buy. You'll get bang for your buck. It's a challenging, fast-paced experience with a great soundtrack that will keep you engaged for just one more try. Now, in Dead Ground, artifacts play a significant role in enhancing gameplay by providing your hero unique boosts and strategy. Here's a breakdown of artifacts based on the information I was able to find. Now, unlocking artifacts, as happens here in this portion of the game, are unlocked by progressing through the game, defeating bosses, or experiencing certain random events. They certainly add a layer of customization to your strategy. Now, artifacts are not explicitly detailed in terms of specific types or names in the information I found. However, from the general description of the game, they are likely to provide very powerful effects that can be activated, influencing gameplay significantly. They also can provide passive boosts like increased damage, health regen, for special abilities. I think you can have up to 4 artifacts active at once, and they are actually quite pivotal in strategy. So with that, we survive the first day, and we move on to the second day of survival. Obviously, you get a few rewards for surviving each day. You get scrap as well as some other resources, and we try to assign skills as much as possible as well during this period while you're camping. I take a look at a few of these and find that really it's nothing we can afford, and so you have to go through a few number of outings to actually be able to unlock some of the better rewards. Now here we go into day 2, and we run into a risk, and we take a hit for actually taking a risk. So you have to also be careful. If you take risks, your run could be compromised as well. In this section, we quickly run through the first 3 towers, given the resources we had, and try to survive as much as possible. Actually, we're doing fairly well as far as the control of the first 4 towers. And we actually start another tower to kind of cover the stragglers as much as possible. This particular, and the second day, the difficulty actually ramps up quite a bit, as you'll see here. Here we get the new wave, and these are complete runners, and they start to really hit you pretty hard, so we start upgrading towers in order to compensate as much as possible. Now the trick here is to also try and move up with your hero and collect as much scrap and water as possible to support the operations of the camp. It becomes rather difficult because the aim on these mobs can be quite decent sometimes, so as long as you have fodder for them to hit, it becomes a little easier to control the collection of the material you need. And the other mechanic is obviously the night comes, and at that point you cannot upgrade or build any more towers. And in this section I make a little bit of a mistake in that I sell the tower erroneously and end up losing one temporarily and losing that material, and quickly rebuild it, but those resources are gone. I made a mistake on that one, and I think that one's definitely going to cost me. I have to angle out of the view here because we ran into some trouble. As you can see here, I mean, some of these mobs get quite heavy. And here we got Jack the boss. Now, one interesting item to note here is that once the boss kind of comes into the fight becomes extremely overwhelming, especially for a beginner like me. And if you have any suggestions as to how to approach these types of fights, please let me know down below. But as you can note here, you can certainly see the overwhelming force that was presented here. And I think one of our key issues was that we lost the tower and we were not able to upgrade properly, as well as some of the pacing before that, and the negative effects of the initial encounter. But as you can see, it's a pretty rough fight as it stands. As these mobs start to approach the final line here, we start losing health, and the eventual outcome just becomes a little clearer. But there were certainly some things we could have done better. But here the journey ends. That's basically a rundown on Dead Ground. Whether you're into tower defense, or roguelike mechanics, or just love a post-apocalyptic vibe, this game could be your next obsession. If you watched this far, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more game reviews and gameplay tips. Until next time, keep those defenses up. This is Cypher Alpha. Catch you in the next one. See ya.